2026 has already thrown down some of the most stacked action anime seasons in years, and we're barely past the halfway point. Here are my picks for the 10 best action anime in 2026 so far. Let's go! We're starting with Marriage Toxin, and yeah, the title sounds like a rom-com, but don't let that fool you. Hikaru Gero comes from one of the 5 biggest poison master assassin families out there, and he's spent his whole life buried in the underworld. When his clan forces his sister into an arranged marriage just to keep the bloodline going, Hikaru decides he'll solve the problem himself. So he tracks down Mei Kinosaki, a marriage swindler who happens to be his current assassination target, and asks her to help him get married instead. I've always predicted this to be a Spy Family clone, but surprisingly it isn't. It's Studio Bones behind the wheel, the same studio that gave us My Hero Academia and Bungo's Stray Dogs, and you can feel it in every fight. The animation doesn't miss once, and Hikaru is exactly my kind of lead. A guy who can outthink you and then outfight you in the same scene. Blending an assassin's world with a marriage mission sounds like it shouldn't work, and somehow just like how Spy Family does it, this combines those really well too.
とは約束された栄華誉れの家安寧にして正常な世界地上に世界に福音あれかし
If you watch season 1, you already know our girl. A ruthless Japanese salaryman gets murdered and reincarnated as Tanya, a tiny blonde girl stuck in a magical version of World War I, fighting in the sky with rifle-shaped mana-casting devices strapped to her body. Tanya is stone cold, brutally logical, and just wants a quiet desk job. Except she keeps getting shoved onto the front lines by a god she refuses to believe in. Tanya stands in the isekai legends because the show did something original. Instead of getting isekai'd and having harems, here you have an overly angry short girl with god issues trying to get a desk job. That's originality right there. Do you know how long people have been waiting for this one? Do you know how many times it got teased and then went quiet again? This thing has been sitting as one of the most anticipated anime on the whole site for actual years, and it finally dropped its first episode yesterday. As expected, it's a banger. Now, before any of you say, Mushoku Tensei isn't much of an action anime, hold your thoughts. Best Girl Eris is coming along, and you know what that means. I guess everyone knows the story by now. Rudis Greyrat is the shut-in loser who died back in the real world and got reborn as a baby in a magic-soaked fantasy world. And he's spent every season since trying to actually become a decent person this time around. Season 2 ends up with him marrying Sylphie and then getting a second wife on top of it. But Season 3 has teased Eris. Yes, I know, Mushoku Tensei has got its fair share of criticism, but one thing it does right is the fantasy and action. Studio Bind has never once dropped the ball on this series, and Season 3 is already proving it from Episode 1. What I love here is watching Rudis actually apply everything he's spent 2 seasons learning. The magic duels hit differently once you followed this guy this long. Eris alone is worth tuning in for. More than anything, we're about to get some really deep character arcs.
もちろん刮目してご覧なさい
This is one of the new anime that landed on our faces this winter, and man, concept alone has had me hooked instantly. In this world, being named a hero isn't an honor. It's a punishment handed to the worst criminals who get sent on the front lines of an endless war against demon lords with zero chance of dying for good. Xylo Forbarts leads Pino Hero Unit 9004, a squad nobody expects to survive until he links up with Terrorita, a living weapon known as a goddess who might just change everything.
女神の力を持って喜んで祝福しましょう
Alright, so what's good about this one? 1. The cel-shaded art style makes every fight look like nothing else airing right now. 2. King Norgel gets one of the best hype speeches I've heard in fantasy anime in years. Dude steals every scene he shows up in. And 3. The whole immortality gimmick means these heroes get resurrected just to suffer through the next battle, which is a brutal twist on the genre. This reminds me of some of those Norse mythology stories. This year, the author of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood dropped another banger. Twins Yuru and Asa are born split between day and night in an isolated village, and Yuru grew up as a hunter while Asa stayed locked away for some mysterious duty. Then armed men riding helicopters, the villagers called dragons, show up, hunting Yuru specifically, wiping out every adult in sight. Yuru barely escapes with a stranger named Dara, and in a last-ditch move, Dara has him summon a pair of daemons straight to tell the truth behind it all.
こいつらがお前のつがいだ。
Like I said, this one's from Hiromu Arakawa, the creator of Full Metal Alchemist, and Bones is animating it, which is basically a dream team. Sure, this is going to draw comparisons to FMA non-stop, and honestly, that's missing the point. This is a completely different, completely original world, and I respect that way more than anyone rehashing another writing on the popularity. The mystery around these twins and the dragons pulled me in immediately. And if you love FMAB's action, you'll love this too.
教頭
If you remember Season 1, death row criminal Gabimaru got shipped off to a mysterious island with the promise of a pardon if he finds the elixir of immortality, alongside his executioner, Sagiri. Season 2 throws the whole crew straight at the island's monstrous rulers, the Tensen, inside their own fortress, and suddenly teaming up with the people originally sent to hunt them becomes the only way anyone survives. 敵に最大限の被害を与えてから死ぬべし。 This show mixes samurai history with straight up body horror, and it keeps it up this season too. The Tensen dudes themselves look genuinely otherworldly, and combine them with stellar fights and some epic team fights, and you've got a season better than season 1. Gabimaru's fights hit just as hard as season 1, and Mei finally gets to reveal more of her own backstory, which I loved. It's animated by Mappa, so you know it's gonna be godly. 大丈夫そのまま行け俺たちはラッキーガイ And it's time for some JoJo's. This is JoJo's 7th part, and it's an easy pick, because it's JoJo. The setting is an old west where thousands of racers line up for a $50 million prize in a race across 6,000 kilometers of America. Any vehicle allowed. Johnny Joestar is a crippled ex-jockey who just wants to watch the race until he meets Gaira Zappelli, a guy who fights with steel balls instead of a gun, and touching one of them gives Johnny back the use of his legs. Now, if you heard that and thought, wait, what did I just hear? Well, that's JoJo for you. Steel balls give a paralyzed guy actual superpowers, and somehow it's presented in a believable way. At least in anime terms. This part is currently sitting at a 9.1 score and ranked number 4 on the entire My Anime List site. That's not hype, that's just facts. David Productions animating it, the stand fights are as creative as ever, and Johnny and Gyro's dynamic alone carries every episode. I always feel like this is the little sister of Frieren. Here's the story. Coco grew up wishing she had been born a witch, since regular people are never taught the truth behind magic. When she accidentally catches the witch Kifri casting a spell and tries it herself, the result turns her own mother to stone. Kifri takes her in anyway, since she's now tangled up with a group practicing forbidden magic, whether she wanted to be or not, and Coco has to prove she belongs in a world that never wanted her there. What gets me about this one is the magic system itself. Every spell is literally drawn like a circle you carve into the air with a pen, and Bug Films animates every one of those spells like a work of art. It's less about big flashy battles and more about the tension building underneath, forbidden magic, hidden knights, secrets that feel like they're about to blow up the whole cast. Season 2 is already confirmed, so this is the perfect time to catch up.
あんたは俺が切る。
黒崎くんの心はきっと。
そんだなイチゴ。それは世界を切ると同義だぞ。
It's finally ending. Naruto ended a long time ago. One Piece never seems to end in this lifetime, so this is the last anime of the big three we can watch an ending of. This is the fourth and final part of the Blood War arc, and it's landing this summer. Ichigo, Uryu, Kenpachi, Byakuya, and the rest of the Soul Reapers are about to head into the last stretch of the fight against Yhwach and the Quincy army. I won't spoil where the story left off, and if you've made it this far in Bleach, you already know how massive this final stretch is about to be. And this is generally the end of an era for me. Puro's been cooking with this whole Blood War adaptation, and getting names like Aizen and Yoruichi back in the mix for the finale has everyone hyped. The first episode of the Bleach comeback had Twitter on a frenzy, and this time the mangaka himself has said there's some new stuff that is not in the manga appearing in the anime. Ichigo's story started way back in 2004, and watching it finally getting the ending it deserves after all this time is something I never thought I'd see done right.
こやつ本当にあの巻か。
And we're finishing off with everyone's favorite. Kenjaku's set an actual battle royale in motion across Japan, forcing sorcerers to fight each other while Yuji's execution gets reinstated and Gojo sits frozen thanks to Kenjaku's endgame back in Shibuya. Megumi's dealing with his own clan drama, Yuta's out looking for Yuji for reasons of his own, and the whole cast gets thrown into one massive chaotic fight for survival. Do you love chaotic tournament arcs? Do you love watching a cast this stacked collide all at once? Most of all, do you want Mappa to go completely unhinged with the animation budget? Because that's exactly what Culling Game delivers. Maki and Megumi both get some of their best moments in the whole series here, and the back half is already confirmed and on the way. Chainsaw Man stole the anime movie spotlight of last year, and JJK stole the action spotlight of this year, and that's why it's number one.